Well, good morning, our WW family, and those who aren't on WW but are still on your journey as well. I'm Erin.
I'm Candace.
I'm Rikki.
And I know that we weren't here last week, and I was the problem in that because I'm doing some serious renovation work. So all of my life and all of my thoughts have been going into the renovation stuff for home. So today I've got a little breathing space. Let's just put it that way.
So you dissed us last week so you could renovate your beautiful home. It's okay. We're fine. We'll deal with all of our mental stuff without you.
I did. Well, I left though last week, so we didn't record it, but we were like, nope, we still need to get together and we still need to chat. I just don't have an appropriate space without a ton of crap behind me. So let's still chat. So how was your week? I know this week we're going to talk about motivation and when it's like kind of gone up and gone, and how do you keep moving forward in that way. But before we get to that, like what happened in your week this week? Go ahead, Candace, or Rikki, you start.
Okay. I know for me, last week was a bit challenging, and I did struggle to get back on track this week or back on track. And I think sometimes that can be tough because if you have, or for me, if I have one moment of weakness or difficulty, it kind of gives me permission to say my week was tough. And then it gives me permission in future days in that week to just keep struggling. So I didn't make choices that I was super proud of each day. So I want to get back to cooking this week because it was really a challenge to eat at home, and more so just I made the choices not to eat at home a few days. So
what do you think was your trigger for that this week? Is it like just like getting back in the rhythm of going back to school, or
back to school, virtual, sitting at the computer all day, already feeling stiff because I'm sitting all day and I'm not used to it. Like I don't want my body to change. I try and go for walks and things, but I already feel just not like myself at the end of the day. And I think that stiffness and heaviness makes me not feel so great. Like I think it is an emotional thing. And also just stress of just everything being different and new.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I can understand.
I feel it.
Yeah, I think I had a similar week. It was difficult. That's why I think this topic is very, very, very on point, because I think I was struggling this week to find motivation to do actions. And that's why when I saw a few posts that was talking about that, actually it's the opposite. You need to act first and then you'll get the motivation, because this week I just didn't feel like doing anything. I mean, it was raining on days that I needed to go out and walk, and I didn't feel like doing the whole put on your rain jacket and go outside. And, I think I mentioned I'm in a step bet. So this is the final week of it. So I have to get my steps because I'm not going to lose my money. But if you don't get it done in the morning, I'm a morning person, it's really difficult to get it done in the evening, especially with not a newborn. He's almost 4 months old now. I can't claim he's a newborn forever. I do understand that. Like, I feel like he's going to be 2 and I'll be like, I have a newborn. And so that's why I can't do anything. But I think I made a lot of excuses this week that I wasn't really particularly proud of. And I think I had reasons that other people would definitely give me a pass for, but internally I know were excuses. So I think that that's something that I'd like to continue to work on, because I'm very good at convincing other people that what I do makes sense. But there's something about that internal, I know what I'm worth. I know what I'm able to do, and knowing why trying to process why I'm not just doing it. That was tough this week, because I feel like I could have done so much better than I did. But I made a lot of excuses. So, yeah. What about you, Erin?
Well, so this week I just fully admit, like, I didn't follow the plan. I didn't do anything. It was like I did not have a membership to WW this week. Mm-hmm. And truthfully, I mean, a lot of it is it's work. It's what I have on the plate from work. And then also with the renovation, like I just have other things that are occupying my brain space, which I think is okay. Because, the tools and the things that we learn for WW are for real life. They're not just for, a small period of time. What I will say, however, is I did not take full advantage of the resources that I have to get me through this time. I haven't been, out running, walking in like over 2 weeks now, probably 3 weeks, I think is what I'm coming up on. And I feel it. I feel it all over, and I feel squishy and not good squishy, and like, I want to do some other things, but I can't until I get some things put back together. So I'm just reminding myself that like, this is a transition time, and I do need to give myself some grace in that. But at the same point, how do I want to look back on this transition time? And am I going to look back on it with pride? And at the moment, I don't feel like I am. And so for me, that's just like a little bit of a wake up call that I want to change some things of how I'm going through this process so I can feel better at the end of it. So,
do you think that you all tried to, well, I know what I did. I'm still struggling with, if I don't have myself completely together by midweek, I tend to want to maybe throw away the rest of the week and just wait for this glorious Saturday where everything resets and everything is beautiful. So I was just wondering, for you two, did you all, since we all kind of seem to have similar weeks where kind of wasn't like, we're not like, this was the best. Did you find yourself struggling to get back at it, or to change or do the mental reset until today?
I would say for me, there was none. There wasn't any high, low, good, bad. It was just this, like, I would say almost a continuation of a little bit of where I was last week, where it's not that I didn't care. It wasn't my focus. And because it wasn't my focus, I wasn't feeling the tension of, oh, I've got to do this before weigh-in, or I haven't weighed in today and I'm not going to weigh in because I can't find my scale. But I still know that I'm accountable to the scale because it's still there one way or the other. So this week, like, my pants were a guide. And my pants fit, and I'm happy they fit, but I can also feel how, how your body changes in some things. And I'm like, I feel my body change because I haven't done my 3 weeks of exercise. And I can feel, and I realize like how much that's a key for me across the board, and how I think about food, and how I think about myself, and my motivation to do things. And even like, I caught myself the other morning, like I was up at 5 a.m. and from 5 to 7 a.m. for 2 hours, I was on my phone scrolling through Instagram. 2 whole hours.
I understand. Yes.
That's shameful. I'm shameful. I was like, what have you done with yourself?
Would you like to do a repentance? Say, hi, I'm Erin, and I'm
yes.
Instagram.
Okay. Father, forgive me, for I don't know what I'm doing.
Oh no. All those things you've been finding while you're.
Yes. That was, by the way, that was not Halloween or anything like that. That was The Sound of Music. So that was a costume for The Sound of Music. And I took my role very seriously.
Sure. Great. To answer your question, for me, no one, when you walk in a typical studio, no one says to you, did you have good days this week? It was, did you have a good week? So it's like that kind of, again, it depends on your outlook and how you look at things. But if I have, like, it's Tuesday or Wednesday and, I end up in a drive-through, or I get a slice of cake from somewhere and I go over my points. Again, going back to our conversation in the Science Fitness video we watched about labeling foods, like if I've labeled the food as bad, I've gone over my points, or maybe I didn't even track it, then I'm labeling myself as bad. So then therefore my week is bad. So I think it's very, very much a situation where we're almost like trained to think like, if I had this one bad decision this week, or this one bad day, then my week was bad. Yeah. And it's hard to come back from that, especially if it does happen early in the week, at least in my experience.
And I'm fascinated with how quickly our minds just go. Like, I mean, it's almost subconscious that when you have one action, naturally want to go a certain way, and you have to be very intentional to say no. And I can see where we've been ingrained because of not blaming the program that we're on. It's not what I'm doing. I'm saying though that the weigh-ins and the how was your week and the way that things are phrased, it does make you think in terms of the all 7 days have to be great, before you, so that you can say you had a good week, because otherwise you have to label it bad or struggling. You don't say, I did 3 days that were really, really great and 2 sucked. So I'd say it's like you don't get that, because it's kind of like when someone says, how are you doing? And they don't want the long-winded answer.
Right. I just want to hear great.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm great. How are you?
Yeah. Because if you're like, well, actually, let me tell you, because I don't really know how I am right now. They're like, oh, I wasn't asking for all that.
Do you know what I do with that? I don't even ask, because people always be like, how are you doing? And I'll just flip around, I'm like, how are you doing? I know nobody really cares how I am. And it's not to be negative. That's not meant to be negative, but I know that's something that we usually will ask as an icebreaker. When you see, what do you say when you first see somebody? Hey, how you doing? Like, how are you doing? Tell me
how's the weather? Tell me about that weather.
Right.
Yeah.
But we diverge off of that. So maybe we jump into that Sciat Fitness clip. He is like our man now. He's pretty much become our jam.
We're going to invite him. He's going to be the 4th. He's going to be over here.
Right? We'll put a tiny picture of him someplace, because what I love about him is he's so no nonsense. Like you can drink all of the teas you want. It's the only thing that really matters is a calorie deficit. That's how you lose weight. And I love that he's just like, just do that.
Yeah. I think my favorite thing that he said was, someone wrote to him and said, I'm off track. How do I get back on track? He said, you get back on track. I was like,
wow.
He
speaks
my language in such a clear cut way that it's like it burns and feels good, you know?
And someone wrote in his comments, stop judging me. I feel like you're judging me.
My friend Christina shared a really awesome thing with me the other day. And she said, offense can never be given. It can only be taken. It was like, and like, that's exactly what it makes me think of is like, you're the ones with the problem, not him. He's just putting it out there, and it's truthful and it's factual, and how you want to receive it is completely up to you.
Because you know it's true.
Exactly.
Okay, so let's hit play on this. Before we do, we just want to make sure you know that he does drop an F-bomb in this. So, if you have delicate ears like myself, cover your ears, but accept it for what it is, because the content of what he says is so, so good. Here we go.
Have you ever taken a scoopful of water and held it in your hands and tried to hold it there, but you just watch the water drip out, so it's impossible to keep it there? That's like motivation. No matter how hard you squeeze, no matter how hard you try, you will not be able to keep your motivational cup full all the time. And when that motivational cup is either half full or a quarter full or completely empty, you got to come up with strategies and tactics and habits to keep you going no matter what. I recently had a conversation with someone. There's a woman who was saying, she was like, I'm just not motivated to work out. What can I do? And I was like, well, what do you say when your son says he's not motivated to do his homework? She was like, it doesn't fucking matter if you want to do your homework, if you're motivated to. You just got to do it. You're not always going to be motivated to. And you have to understand this from the very beginning, because if you expect to always be motivated, then you will not follow through, because as soon as you're not, you're going to have a justification and excuse not to follow through. Most of the time, you're just going to have to do it, even and especially when you don't want to. Have you ever taken a scoopful of water?
There it is. Hold on. Let me stop him. Oh my gosh. That's so good.
Yes.
It's so spot on. I think that the bit about like the tactics of what we need for when motivation gets up and goes, I think that's where you find out that you know that you're really in this thing and that this is lifestyle change, because the motivation is not going to last forever. And even if you're in a losing pattern, right? Like you're consistently losing week after week, at some point you're going to get really tired of it, where you're going to want to break, right? But how do you keep yourself on that bandwagon without either slowing yourself down or stopping completely because your motivation's gone, even though you're doing all the right things. Oh,
Yeah.
I wish I knew exactly how that would work for me. I think that's what I'm learning, but I think it was so profound because I think we are so, again, not to knock WW or any other like weight loss journey or program, but we are so ingrained in thinking that what's your motivation? Motivation will get you through. And we hear that so often. And it's not the motivation's bad, but I think we are, or at least I have been unprepared for times where I'm not motivated. And then it does, like he was saying, it gives me that excuse to say, well, I'm not motivated, then I don't have to do it.
Yeah.
So I think that it is important to figure out what tools I can put in place, what tools we can use to help us to stay encouraged or to stay on the track, even if we don't want to be there.
I think WW though uses, they couched it with the word motivation, but it's the forward momentum of keep your why close by because they know it's going to fly out the window, right?
But I was just about to talk about the why, because I think that's something that is ingrained in you. What's your why? Why are we doing this? And it's something supposed to be so profound, whether it's my children or my health or something. But what if, and this is a harder thing for me, but sometimes your why isn't even enough. Like sometimes to do things. And that's just me being very, very truthful. Like I can say my why is my son or my husband, or even if I say it's myself, some days that's not enough to get me to want to do what it is that I need to do. So what I took away from his video was, it doesn't matter what your why is. It doesn't matter if you're motivated. You do it anyway, because through the action, like he said, it's the cup, the motivational cup, or however he said it. It's not always going to be there. And that's okay. Because I used to feel guilt because I'm like, why is my why not making me want to get on the treadmill? It's just not today. I don't want to. I just don't. So how do you deal with those days? I think
that takes me to, that instantly makes me think about Heather, who was I think all three of us was our first meeting coach, right? And it's always resonated with me. And it was feet first and your head will follow. And you just jump in and start doing it. And eventually your head is going to catch up to the direction that your feet are going in. So whether that's, I need to go for a walk, or I know that I need to eat this way, or, not eat something. You go through the motion of doing it because it's the right thing to do, because it is the thing to do. And your brain will eventually catch up. And for me, that like the exercise was a really big thing in the beginning. I don't want to go for a walk. I don't feel like doing this. But the minute that I'm in it, it usually takes me about 5 minutes, and all of a sudden my brain catches up and I'm better and I'm happier and I'm not stopping. And I'll tell myself, okay, just 10 minutes. That's all you have to commit to. And by the time I get to 10 minutes, I'm like, okay, well, I can do 15. Well, I can do 20. And then I'll get to 25 and I'm like, okay, I did 25. I'm good.
But you bought into the whole, it's kind of the statement of you never regret a workout. Like it's true. I can't think of a time that I have actually pushed myself to work out that I left and was like, oh, I cannot believe I did that. That was just horrible. Like I've never done that. It's always been something that I was proud of, but I didn't start off wanting to do it all the time. So I know it's true, but it's just consistently doing it and having that consistent pattern, regardless of how I feel.
Something else.
Whoa, Candace just dropped out. There she is. But now we don't hear her. I thought Candace was working on her Wi-Fi.
No. Can you all see me?
Now we got you.
Now we can.
I had a call come in. Yeah, I stopped it real quick.
Do they not know what you do on Saturday morning?
Excuse me, I'm with my friends. So. Anyway.
Do you guys think that there is the potential for positive shame? Meaning, so this is something I was thinking about, is that, so like I spent the morning 2 hours on my phone, right? And I'm like, I've wasted that 2 hours when I could have been doing something. And my conversation in my head was, you said you weren't going to do this anymore, and you are betraying what you've set out for yourself to do. And you need to make a change on this. This is not okay. You've had your fun, but you don't like the way that you feel. You don't like who you are right now because of a domino of other things. And this is just one more piece in it. So tomorrow we need to commit to ourselves to doing what we know is right. And I don't know if shame is the right word to use it, but you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds to me more like self accountability, like holding yourself accountable to goals that you set for yourself or standards that you set for yourself, and not shameful, like making yourself feel like you are bad because you did it, but more so that you have a higher standard for yourself.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know why my mind, when you were talking about it, went to the mother who's lovingly talking to their child about something that they need to do. And they're like, listen, now we've talked about this, but it's not so aggressive, but it really is still stern in the fact that there needs to be change.
Yes. Because in my head, I wasn't like,
yeah,
to myself, it was like, listen, we need to make a change for ourselves. This is not okay.
Mm-hmm.
It reminds me of, I was listening to a Christine King podcast. You guys have always encouraged me to listen to podcasts. It has not been a thing until recently that I've actually listened to them for some reason. But she was talking about how, like, in our society, we often want to just constantly show ourselves grace. And there's nothing wrong with that. But at the same time, like, you can show yourself grace, but also, like, don't use that as an excuse to say, I did something wrong, I'm going to be gracious with myself. I did something wrong again and show myself grace. Like, I also need to hold myself accountable when I not only am doing something that I'm not proud of, but I'm repeating that pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's important to think of too. Like, we need to hold ourselves to certain standards and have grace with ourselves when we need it, but also be realistic about, how many times we're like, am I consciously doing this thing over and over again and then forgiving myself for it? Or am I like, is this just a one-time thing, if that makes sense?
Mm-hmm.
For the whole past 365 days, it's been, yet again, I did that. Please, grace. Lord, just did it again. Just did it again. I think that you can see that there's a consistent pattern of there's no change in behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I can be honest that I've had. I mean, I can look back over my journey for years and I'm like, this is the same topic. This is the same. And I say that when I, was in therapy, I'd be like, we've already talked about this. Just flip a few pages back in your little book that you write about. We've already discussed this, but there has to be some action, to change it. Because you can get grace all the time, but you're wasting your own time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's something that Noelle had said once. She was like, you're not hurting anyone but yourself.
Mm-hmm.
You're wasting, it's your time. It's one time is something we all don't have enough of. And I shared quickly, I had a friend who passed, well, not a sorority sister who died suddenly this week. She was just normal, healthy, thin, you would look and say vibrant, everything's great. She got on the elevator and just dropped and was gone. And I say that not to say, but it was more of something we think we have all of this time to get it right. And Lord willing, we do, but more often than not, we don't, no man knows the day or the hour. What are we doing with what we have right now?
Mm-hmm.
And I don't want this to be the narrative for me years and years from now, the same struggle, the same thing. And but I have to do the action to make that not, the thing that we always discuss. So
Sorry for your loss.
Thank you.
I think of another thing that Science Fitness said, which again, it's like, why is this mind blowing when he's just giving me a fact that I already knew? But it's like, time passes anyway. And what he was saying was that, we're not happy with a pound a week, but a pound a week is 52 pounds in a year. And then you can, it's 104 and 2. So it's like, why am then the weight would be gone in 2 years. And it's like, that's not good enough. I want it to be gone. 104 pounds to be gone yesterday. and it's not good enough that it's not gone today. But the time has passed. I've been doing this for, the better part of 10 years for this time. And my journey started in high school. So if I had actually been at that rate and maintained it, the weight would have been gone. And I know it's a lot. I'm oversimplifying it in a way, but at the same time, it's so true. But that 1 pound a week, it's not good enough for me. I just am like, man, that 0.8, man, that's all I got. It adds up, and it's like that shouldn't be mind blowing, but it is. It adds up, and then and time will pass regardless. Time has passed, and what have I done with that time?
Mm-hmm.
I think about how judgmental I was about people when I first started. Because like you said, 10 years ago, I feel like mine was my freshman year of college, and their lady shared, and she was like, I lost 0.2 this week. And I was like, I mean, that's nice. Good for you. Did you want a Bravo star? But the thing is, she's probably a goal. I mean, with the 0.2, if I had lost 0.2 10 years ago every week, where would I be right now? I wouldn't exist. But, how judgmental we are, because you think that when you first start that you got to lose it quickly, and you don't have respect for the fact that this is a lifelong journey. Mm-hmm. I didn't respect that. I didn't think that it was true. I didn't embrace that this is forever. And I think I fought against it. Mm-hmm. So, Erin, what do you think?
Well, I think I went into it knowing, one, I needed to get the weight off. And also I wanted to change my life because I didn't like who I was. And I knew that this is a lifetime deal because I just didn't want to keep doing this, because I had gained and lost so much weight over basically my first diet was when I was, I think, 10. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to get off of the yo-yo on mm-hmm. it. I think I slide into confidence, and I would even say arrogance mm-hmm. with the journey, because I know it. I know it all. I have all of the tools. Mm-hmm. I'm not doing anything with it. I have spent in 10 years $4,000 on WW. If I can, let me just quantify that, right? Mm-hmm. And Rikki too, because we're still paying members. Now, the way that I rationalize it to myself, which, by the way, if you look at the word rationalize, it's really made up of 2 words, rational lies that I'm telling myself, right? I love my WW community, and I love being part of it, the support that I gained from it. That it's therapy for me every Saturday, right? And that's what I've been doing for 10 years. However, I mean, I'm still paying WW, and thankfully I've been grandfathered. They have a grandfathered in program, so I'm paying the rate from 10 years ago and not the rate from today. Mm-hmm. But that still adds up to about $4,000 that I've spent over the course of that time, not at a goal, and that's still my goal, is to be at a point where I can still do this and not pay for it. Mm-hmm. But I get comfortable. I get really comfortable. I get tired. I get tired of where I am. Tired meaning I'm tired of doing all the right things for it, and I just want to break. Mm-hmm. And so I break for maintenance, but I never start back up again. And mm-hmm. I have fits and starts. And right now I'm in a fit right now. I'm not at the start. I thought I was at a start, but I wasn't. And it's I'm just really, it's commitment. It's commitment. And what one of our other WW members said this morning is consistency. Jay was talking, he's an accountability partner for someone else. And consistency is a big thing for him. What are you consistently doing? And I just don't want somebody riding me right now and holding me accountable. I'll say that straight out, because I just don't have the energy for it. I wish that I was where I was, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, but I'm not. And the only way that I'm there is by really doing the program and doing what works with it. My motivation is up and gone. Initially, my motivation most recently was for my nephew. I just wanted to be able to get out there and run and play with him. Well, now I've got a niece added on it, and that worked for a while, but I can still, be fat out there running with him. And now he gets tired. He goes, oh, we got to sit for a second. And I'm like, great. He wants to sit. I'll sit with him, So I think this conversation is a great conversation, because it's the bottom line is what if motivation never existed?
Right.
Why are you doing what you're doing?
Right.
And knowing why you're doing what you're doing, and also not having a daily view of it. Sometimes I don't have a year-long, 2-year, 3-year-long view in the future of where I want to be. I think one of the most powerful things that I have said to myself at the very beginning of the journey is, future Erin will be so proud of you. Like if future Erin was looking at you right now, how would she feel? Future Erin right now isn't happy with herself.
Yeah.
With how present Erin is living. She's just not, because present Erin is living like future Erin doesn't exist. And I don't know what future Erin's plans are or where she's going to be, but I'm not doing anything to set her up for success. Let's put it that way. That's my real talk in my head that's happening right now.
I think a lot of times that motivation piece too, with things that are like so important to us, it's really hard to stay focused on that. Like we have the external motivation, and sometimes when there's something that, for me, if it's a slice of cake or it's a drive-through, like that can be broken so easily, because I know that I can get at some type of satisfaction from that if I do have some kind of external or even internal like stress that's going on. But at a certain point, it's like I want to get to the point, and I feel like a few weeks ago I was there briefly, where I had more satisfaction from the good choices I was making. The healthier choices made me feel better than that temporary satisfaction I had from whether it was not doing my workout in the moment because I was too tired to get up, or, going and getting a slice of cake from the store. Like that is what I want to hold on to. And again, like we were talking about with motivation, and like the video said, that may not always be there. So I know I need to set myself up in a way that I can support myself in those times where it's not there. But it is such a good feeling when you do have that motivation, that reinforcement that's internal. That's like, this salad is the best thing that's happened to me this week. It's so, this kale, it's so amazing. I feel so good, and that doesn't come easily.
Yeah. And Rikki, I remember you shared a few weeks ago that one of the things that you were concerned about was because you were very motivated, and you were like, I'm worried that this isn't going to last, or, because it hasn't in the past and all of that. And I wonder now that you kind of regrouped, and heard about the fact that it does leave, does that put you, I don't know, in a weird way that makes me feel better, because I'm not expecting anymore I'm no longer fearful that it's going to go. I know it will. Yeah. So it's like I can let go of this fear that it's going to go, because it's going to go. And then I'm like, oh, that's right. We said this was going to happen. So we do it anyway, because part of this is you have to be an adult. Like, I don't know how else to say it, but you put on your big girl panties and you get over yourself and you say, this is just what I have to do. And not every day do you feel like it, but as that's part of growing up,
I think it does give me a different perspective. Like, I think it does make me feel like, it's so easy, again, going back to the Instagram comment, Erin, like I look at all my Peloton instructors and they're drinking green smoothies and they have washboard abs and they're, on the beach posing and not a care in the world. And they're showing you what they want you to see. Like, that's to us the pinnacle of like fitness and everything, but no one's perfect. If I sat one of them down and said, hey, do you still want ice cream? Do you still crave chocolate? Do you eat chocolate? They're human. And I think trying to live up to an expectation that's unrealistic and doesn't exist is part of the problem too. I'm setting myself up for failure. And again, with like you were saying, Candace, with when I was a few weeks ago in that moment and worried about failing, it is a self-fulfilling prophecy, because I'm like, I'm worried I'm going to fail. I'm worried I'm going to fail. I'm worried I'm going to fail. I did it. I failed. Like, instead of focusing on worrying about whether I'm going to fail or not, setting myself up to know that I'm not always going to want to eat kale. Like, that's just not going to happen. I'm not always going to want to get on the bike, and that's okay. But I can still have strategies in place. And again, I'm trying to figure out what those are, but I can still have strategies in place to make myself successful in those days I don't want to do it.
I found a really good app. I'm pulling it up right now because it just occurred to me. It's called I Deserve is how you find it. And it's, when we're going to find, there it is.
Okay.
I Deserve a Donut is the app. Okay.
Okay.
And it is, I deserve a donut and other lies that make you eat. And the app, everything that's inside of it is appearance. I'll never be skinny, so I might as well eat. And then when you click through it, right, it goes through a whole different things. If you're eating because, and it gives you different reasons. So if you're eating because you had a bad scale weigh-in, if you're eating because you look fat, if you're eating because you're afraid to meet people because of how you look, it goes through actually Bible verses that will help point you forward and point you up. Careless eating, denial eating, emotional eating, entitlement eating. This has been really, really cool when I pull it out. You know, when I've changed my mental space to come over here and do this, but it's I deserve a donut, and I'll show you. There's the icon right there.
I love that.
And my nephew's adorable face behind.
Yes.
Behind.
I'm definitely gonna have to pull that up.
Mm-hmm.
Well, so I think what I think. I'm trying to gather thoughts here to have a consistent line. I've realized how much of what I think and what I say to myself matters. I know that. I've known it. We hear it all the time. In practice, it really is true. So as I've been unpacking and moving and getting rid of things, I've found my journals that I started when I was 10. Yeah. And the conversations that I was already having with myself about the way I look, about the way I felt, about my weight. It's pretty disappointing, to be honest, because these are conversations that I'm still having at 39 that I was having at 10. Mm-hmm. And I realize that these are things that I've been carrying with me when I just shouldn't be carrying with me. And the reason why I was feeling that way is I was looking for excuses of why someone didn't like me, someone didn't pay attention to me. Like, all of these things were defense mechanisms. And these little defense mechanisms blossomed into things that I carry with me and have to undo as an adult. And having to step back and assess those and go, why am I believing that lie about myself today? Why am I perpetuating this lie about myself to myself today is not okay, especially when, so as someone of faith, I believe what I either believe or don't believe what the Lord says about me and the plans that he has for me. And 10-year-old version of me who was trying to heal from a hurt and make up an excuse of why she was hurt should not affect now 39-year-old version of me and beyond. And I've got to, how long am I going to let previous hurt me today?
So your defense became your truth.
Right, exactly. My defense became my truth. So when do I let go of this?
Well, sorry, were you done?
No, go ahead.
I think this goes back to, I believe we were having this conversation last week and we didn't get a chance to jump on. But as a teacher, it breaks my heart that sometimes the first time that you're exposed to being told that you can't do something is from someone in that power of authority, a teacher, a parent, even unintentionally. You know, maybe they're trying to set you up for, you know, to not be made fun of or whatever it is. Like, it a lot of times comes from a loving place. But when they tell you, oh, sorry, Rikki, you can't sing, like, Rikki, that's not, you're never going to be a dancer. That is not only something you believe about yourself, but I think I've internalized some of those things. I'm not a dancer. I am not a singer. I am not, XYZ, because it's become a label on my heart, my spirit, because I was told at a young age, or even a week ago, like, I'm not this, I'm not that, and therefore I am not this, like it is part of who I am. And I think that is something that, again, as a Christian, like, I have to remember who I was created to be. But sometimes it's not as simple as just saying that. Like, we have to, Candace, you're so great at reminding us of those affirmations. Like,
I was about to say it.
Go ahead, take it away.
No, I mean, I've been, as you all know, I've been fighting against the homework assignment that I've been given since I started therapy 18 billion years ago. I've been fighting against the one homework assignment, which was positive affirmations, because I minimized them. But when she explained to me why we do affirmations, the reason is because she said, think about it as a cassette player that is just on, and it's just feeding you all day negativity. I'm not good enough. I don't do these things. I'm not worth it. And the affirmations is you talking back to it and you stopping that subconscious dialogue, but also the way that your mind goes, because where Erin, where the mind goes, or wait, the feet goes there. Never mind. So that probably isn't a good example. But the point is that what you consistently think, I think you do manifest. And I wonder if where we are right now is a manifestation of where we believe we deserve to be. And can something just as simple as saying, I'm worth it. Oh no, I'm beautiful. Every day in every way, I'm getting better. Sometimes we fall down, but I get up. You can never count me out. It feels weird, but it's actually true. And you start to act differently when you say it. So I've been doing that a little bit more, I'd say, in the past few weeks. And when I do them, I feel different. It
reminds me of what the lady, I don't remember her name, but, but she in the meeting was saying that she was, had the friend or the ex's girlfriend.
Oh yeah.
You look good for your age. And then she immediately was like, well, I am, I look good for any age. And like, that's kind of a feet first moment too. Like, it just came out as an instinct because she's been living that lifestyle, I think. And and afterwards it's interesting. She said, I don't believe it. Or she said something along those lines afterwards, which was like, well, it came instinctually. So you're getting there. Like, you're having those instincts to stand up for yourself. So I think those affirmations do come out eventually. Like, she has to be, again, without me knowing her story, she's probably saying those things and building those habits that are making her feel like she does look good for her age, and she does. But like, she hasn't fully, her head hasn't fully gotten there, but the actions are coming out.
And one thing she told me to add on to it that I just wanted to make sure I say is that it's not just about saying the affirmation, but for people maybe like us or who think similarly, sometimes she said, can you give yourself 2 concrete examples of why the affirmation is true? Mm-hmm. So that when you say it, you are also saying the 2 reasons why. And it might seem cumbersome, but you're like, oh, because the part of you that goes, well, I'm just saying that. You're like, wait, but I just gave 2 facts that can't be disputed. I guess I need to believe that. Because for me, I'll be like, I'm pretty. Yeah, right. No, I'm pretty. And as evidenced by my son is cute, and they say my son looks like me. Even if it's something like that for me is enough to say, well, I guess that has to be, there's some validity there. And until it's just instinctual, that could be a part that you add to your affirmations, the 2 examples.
I love that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So we're coming to the end of our time. What maybe this is maybe just a thought question, and maybe it's a thought question for me right now, but what truth are you going to speak to yourself this week? Oh, yeah.
You all first.
I gotta think.
You don't even necessarily have to answer it. Maybe that's just a question to put out there and to think about this week. Like, what are the true things that I'm going to say to myself? Even in and can I know that I can switch my thinking in the moments of when I want to go eat something that isn't on the plan and not track it. I'm like, well, whatever. It's not that big of a deal. It's only a couple of points. Or, no, the truth is, this is what I've said that my goal is going to be. Then I can eat this. I need to track it. Or how about I look up the points first and then decide from there? Because it puts me back in a position of control and puts me back in the lead, in the driver's seat, instead of allowing it to happen to me. And then I get to the end and go, what happened? Like, I tracked this week, I don't know why the scale is up.
Or I'll exercise later,
right.
Truth, you won't. Truth, you need to do it right now because your day gets away from you. And it's just true. I agree with you, Erin.
Yeah.
Listen, I don't want to be faced with that this week. I'm just letting you know. I'm putting it out there, but I don't want to follow my own advice, but I'm going to.
Well, now that you said it, it's memorialized.
It's there. Yeah. What would Saya Fitness do? He'd say, just do it.
I feel like he's already thinking about what we're going to use as excuses and coming up with his next Instagram videos anyway. So when Erin's scrolling for 2 hours, he's trying to see it.
Exactly. Well, a goal this week will be not to do what I did this week. And that's where you can tell I've gotten so far out of my habits that I've done that, because it's been
1 hour 50. So your goal is 1 hour 50 this week.
My goal,
small goals.
I'll give myself 30 minutes. I mean, waking up kind of stuff, but I can give myself that, but not any more than that. Listen, I didn't do any dunking this week.
Okay.
No dunk. I had one. I should say I had one, not the, every single day like the previous week. Now that they've got that oat milk latte, man, and the weather is cool, it's just like something's been unleashed inside of me.
I understand. All right.
I have to think about my goal for the week. I want to get back to just tracking my water and just tracking in general. And when I say tracking, I mean I put stuff in the tracker this week, but did I put everything in the tracker? No. So that's my goal for the week.
Okay. All right. Candace, anything you want to add to it, or are we?
I think my goal probably is affirmations based, because for me, I really feel I know how to do the plan. I know how to do all that stuff. Me, it's here. So I really want to be intentional about not making excuses about doing my affirmations, not minimizing them, and giving those concrete examples to the ones that I am saying daily, and speaking them out loud, not just thinking about them, but speaking it out loud. There's something to hearing yourself say it that I think really can change the tide. So that's my focus for this week, are my affirmations.
I love it. Well, ladies, I want to affirm each of you that you are fabulous and that you're growing on this journey, and it's been wonderful and still is wonderful to do this with you. So everyone have a good week.
You too.
And we'll check in midweek.
All right.